Susan with YorkNewsTimes.com. The York County Commissioners met this week with a York resident who says that while he has been banned from riding the Handi-Bus, which is actually the county's mode of transportation that takes individuals to other towns, other communities outside of York a couple of times a week. He's been banned from using that because of some behavior problems in the past. But he actually addressed the board this week saying that he wants to come back on as a passenger.
Well, at the time, on several occasions, Nat, the driver was not available when she was supposed to be. I was running around for her mother and herself, and I do not have the best of health. I had bad feet, a bad back, and I've had a double hernia, and I was kind of very upset because I had to walk halfway across Lincoln because I didn't have the city bus schedule. I do now, and so now all I got to do is just send him over on a carrier, what I have to work on.
Okay, I might want to ask Lori Byers to fill us in a little bit more.
Yes, in the past, we had issues with taking Randy there, and when we went to pick him up, his behavior was such that it was inappropriate on the bus, and had been warned that if his behavior did not improve, that he would actually have been kicked off the bus. Since then, it's been quite a while since we've not taken Randy to Lincoln. But in my dealings with him personally and with my drivers, we have not had any problems recently, and we would be supportive of allowing him back on the bus to Lincoln with a signed agreement from him stating that he understands that if we get to Lincoln and his behavior is inappropriate or he's under the influence, that we will not be liable for getting him back home. Because especially when we have other passengers, it creates a safety issue, and we don't want to have to find another way to get him back home if he gets there and is inappropriate. Okay. However, if there's no issues, I'm hopeful that that will not happen again, and that we'll be able to take him in and have things run smoothly in the future.
Ask county attorney, do you think it'll do it like that?
Sir, would you abide by such agreement like that?
I don't have a problem as long as the driver does her job.
Well, will you do your job too, and make sure?
It's going to be a problem. I'll hitchhike back.
Okay, but there have been behavior problems before, and that's what we're here to talk about and to eliminate. If you're willing to do that, why, they'll take you back on.
Lori, do you have an agreement drafted?
No, actually I don't. It was something that he could probably handwrite. It's basically, it is in our policies and procedures that we will not take people who are under the influence or inappropriate. It's just that we would feel some need to make sure he got home safely, but I don't want our drivers to take on that responsibility if he's under the influence.
Has Mr. Mountain been given written or verbal warning in the past then that he wasn't allowed to ride on the...
Yes.
Which one, verbal or written?
Verbal.
Verbal.
Sir, do you understand that you're not to be intoxicated while you're on the bus? Do you understand it, sir?
As I said, I was very upset, and I did have a couple of beers going with it. Whatever.
But you understand that if we resume taking you to Lincoln, then you can't do it?
For what it's worth, I did, keep going because I had been doing it before, the night before, so I kind of didn't go, although I was signed up to go.
Yeah. But my question is, sir, do you understand the conditions of this, and are you willing to abide by them?
I understand. I've heard what you said, and you're going to have to understand my feelings too.
The question was yes or no. Do you understand that you cannot drink alcohol and be a passenger on the bus? Yes or no?
I'm quite aware of that.
Okay. And that's going to be a condition as to whether you can ride it or not, should this board decide to do that.
Do we have any other thoughts from the board? board before took it up and made a policy that you weren't gonna ride because of the actions you had done. So,
Mr. Chairman, I guess I would ask our county attorney, what kind of liability would the county face should, for example, Mr. Melton be taken to Lincoln? There was a breach of the agreement, he was left there. What kind of liability would come back on the county there?
I don't know. What I would suggest should happen to avoid those questions is that if Mr. Melton has these issues, that he be brought home either by the Lancaster County Sheriff or some other person and deposited back and then not be allowed to ride again. I don't think we want to leave anybody anywhere.
No.
And but if someone is creating criminal mischief or being just drunk and disorderly, why, then they probably should be taken into custody by the Lancaster County Sheriff, and they can do with him what they will, but that would remove your liability.
okay.
Lori, you don't see a problem as long as he agrees?
In town, he has been fine, and he is right. There are times when he has been signed up for a pickup and has understood that it was not good for him to go when he was still under the influence, and so he understands that, and when he rides in town, he has been appropriate.
If you wanna maybe draft an agreement like that, bring it back to us in a few
Okay.
weeks so we can take a look at it and take action at that time.
Okay. Can I send it to you to
And
look
share it
at?
with-
Sure.
For the legal ease?
Okay.
All right.
That
Thank
probably
you.
just complicates things, but go right
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And while the conversation was somewhat uncomfortable at times, the county board has agreed they will allow him to come back onto the Handi-Bus and he can be transported. But again, he has to sign an agreement, and if he doesn't abide by it, that agreement will be null and void, and he'll no longer be able to be a passenger. Again, this is Melanie Wilkinson with YorkNewsTimes.com.